Well, good evening and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation podcast live. With me, your host, Owen David. And tonight I am joined, first of all, by Damian. Damian, how are you? How's it going for you at the moment?
Good evening. Not bad. Thank you. How's yourself? Thanks for having me again.
Oh, no problem. It's good to have you on. Good to have you on. Yeah, all good, mate. All good. We are going to be joined at some point by Lorah, guys. She is on winging her way from work at the moment. Slight issue with staffing at her workplace, but Lorah is going to jump on at some point. So if you suddenly see Lorah appear, do not be alarmed. I am expecting it. Okay, so she is coming for those big Lorah fans out there. I know there's a few in these days. So welcome to everybody in the live chat, Inconvenient Truth. So it's great to have Lorah. Paying Lorah a compliment there. Inconvenient Truth says, love Damian's gig at the Record Factory. Watched it on here. Great stuff, mate. There you go, Damian. You've got a fan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I'm good. Thank you, Jake. How good, Jake? Thank you very much. One of my American fans. Simon says, good evening, Bears. Good evening, Simon. Hope you're doing well. Toby says, evening. Sharpie, one of our channel members. Evening, Sharpie. And Stuart, one of my mods and also members. Hi, guys. And there's obviously an emoji there. It comes up as text on StreamYard rather bizarrely. So, Damian, before we get started tonight, talking about obviously the greatest team in the world, just a few things just from you first. I want to start off by asking you. You know, you did that gig at the Record Factory the other day, and I shared it here on the channel. I enjoyed watching it. How's it all going? How's the music going? How did the gig go? And tell us about your stuff.
Aye, thanks. I appreciate you sharing it and that, man. It was brilliant. It was my first live gig I've done in quite a while. For health reasons, really, to cut a long story short, I've not really been gigging much, but it was the 25th of January at the Record Factory, and I got to play some of my own songs live for the first time. So it was a thrill. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, and I put it up on YouTube. So thanks to anyone that's watched that since you shared it, and I am hoping to try and do some more as soon as possible.
All right, so David, it was good, really good songs, some quality songs, and I really enjoyed watching it. And guys, if you haven't got a chance to check it out yet, check out Damian's gig at the Record Factory. Was it Sleep Image? The thing is to search on YouTube if you can't find anything.
Sleep Image, all one word. That's the name for my sort of solo project. Yeah. Aye.
So check that out, guys. If you haven't done so, please check out Sleep Image on there. Sharpie says Lammers is doing well apparently. So if we get 4 million for him, we can buy Shankland in the summer. Damian, I don't know if you've seen, but have you seen the miracle that is occurring in Holland? Apparently, Sam Lammers is looking like a footballer.
Yeah, I've seen the odd clip here and there on X, and you know, it's in a lot of ways it's good to see him doing well, especially if we are still of the mind that we don't really want to hold on to him long term, which I think most of us are. I don't think there's obviously a footballer in there. I just think it doesn't always work out at Rangers for some reason or another. Don't know if it's the weight of expectation or the sort of goldfish bowl and the intense sort of pressure and spotlight. Some players, no matter how gifted technically, just can't handle it. And maybe he's just one of those.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look, nothing against the lad. I don't hate him, but you're right, Damian. There's just some people who, they can have the best reputations in the world. And I can't remember who said it now, but I remember an ex-Rangers player talking about the fact you can have the best stats in the world. But when you come to Rangers, it's quite unlike anything else. The expectation levels, the weight of this shirt, the weight of playing at Ibrox, the weight of expectations. Some players just cannot handle it. Whereas some players who perhaps are just not perhaps stats-wise as good as those other players love it. They rise to it and they become better players because of it. So it is a really high expectation of the club. And I think was it Barry Ferguson that once said, you've got 10 minutes, go out and impress us. And Richard Gough once said, at most clubs, you're as good as your last game, but at Rangers, you're as good as your last pass.
Last pass, yeah, I love that one. Very true,
Absolutely.
though.
It is true. Yeah, the expectations are really high. So lots of people joining us now in the live chat, bringing your comments up. Remember to get your thoughts, questions, comments in as we talk through what we're going to talk through tonight. If you're just joining us, Lorah is on her way. She is delayed at work, but she will hopefully be jumping on at some point, guys. So those of you hoping to see Lorah tonight, she will be around. So let's start off by thinking back to the weekend, to the Ayr United game. Now, I actually missed it live. I was at my daughter's dance show at the NEC, but I managed to, when I got home, rewatch the game from the start till the end. So I did actually watch it through. Damian, what were your general thoughts about the Ayr game at the weekend?
Yeah, it was another one of those ones we didn't really ever look too uncomfortable. We controlled the possession for the vast majority of the game. It's just one of those ones that is a bit of a difficult watch when it comes to the final third again. Quite frustrating. We get ourselves into good positions and seems to be just the final kind of decision, the final pass, the final shot or attempt at shot just isn't quite there. And it's very frustrating because you can see what we're doing from middle to front. You can see the progress we're making, but again, and I think as we've mentioned previously, we do seem to be missing like a clinical sort of chance taker, a finisher in there. But overall, we weren't really bothered much by them, and yeah, job done.
Absolutely, yeah. Sharpie says it wasn't a great watch, but job done. Not the best of games, but a win's a win, says Loyalist. So you joining us as well. And Simon McDermott, echoing what you've just said, Damian, definitely need a goal scorer. Yeah, I think watching it back into the wee small hours on Saturday into Sunday. It was a tough watch at times. Don't get me wrong. It was a tough watch, and it was a case of I think just job done, get through. Perhaps there was a bit of the fact that there was a lot of changes in the team, disjointed it a little bit. With new people coming in like Diamand, like Cortez, like Scott Wright, who certainly caused a great deal of controversy on this channel, which we'll get to. But it was at times disjointed. And like you said, Damian, one thing that still really worries me is this lack of someone in the final third to put the ball in the back of the net on a consistent basis. Now, I was in the car tonight driving to pick my daughter up, and I was listening to the Every Other Saturday podcast, guys. If you haven't checked that out, please check out the Every Other Saturday podcast. It's excellent. And obviously, James from there has been on this channel a few times. And they were saying pretty much the same. It is that real lack of a clinical finisher that worries you going forward. Now, I thought we will talk about Fabio Silva later on in the pod. But, Fabio is not an out-and-out 9. Cyril Desas is gloriously inconsistent all the time. Damian, is that something that really worries you about us maintaining a title charge and maintaining a battle on all 3 fronts we've got left? Is that just that lack of having someone who will, in that final third, play that final killer touch?
Yeah, I think that's probably the ongoing concern. I'm obviously fairly happy with the progress that we've made under Clement. I think we're all of the mind that he's doing a great job with the squad of players that we've got, and getting us, kicking on strong and taking points. But I think definitely the lack of a cutting edge, as you say, in the final third, somebody that can take chances, because it's fine in the wee games when you get 9, 10, 11 chances. We are taking maybe 1 or 2, and that's what's getting us the points or getting us to the next round in these cup games. But in the bigger games, you're not going to have that many chances. You're only going to have maybe 2 or 3, and we don't have somebody that can just, when they get that one moment, that they capitalize on it.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I agree 100%. I think that's the one thing that does worry me. When you, like you say, Damian, when you play the likes of Ross County, when you play the likes of St Johnstone, when you play the likes of even Hibs, Hearts, those teams, you get quite a few opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net because they're not great teams. But when it comes to playing against that lot from across the city, when we're in Europe, and the Europa League is going to get a whole lot more tougher as of now. You look at some of the teams in that, and it's almost Champions League-esque with some of the teams that are in there. It is going to be, you don't get as many, you're not going to get anywhere near as many chances, are you, to put the ball in the back of the net. So that is the one thing that worries me. It really does worry me. Lloyd 6, we've got more than enough firepower. I suppose you could argue the midfield could step in there. Stuart says no, he doesn't feel we've got enough firepower at this stage. Everything seems to come down the left side, said George. And Stuart does feel that it's going to bite us in the end, that lack of firepower. Now, a lot of people have raised that left side, and there's a nice comment here from Vladdy84, says early days, but I think Cortez is going to be brilliant, and whilst quiet, I think Dio will be a difference maker. His pace and quick feet excite me. Now, we'll talk a little bit about Dio later on in the pod, but in terms of Oscar Cortez, I was really impressed with what I saw. And I know it's only Ayr United, and I understand that. But you can tell when the player is a quality player from the way they hold themselves, the way they run with the ball, the way they move, the way they pass the ball, the way they take opportunities to shoot. And Oscar looked great to me on Saturday evening. Damian, what are your thoughts and hopes for Oscar Cortez?
Yeah, I mean, how bright and quick did he look for somebody that's not long in the door? He really impressed me with his directness and his sort of alertness and decision making going forward. I think within the first 6 or 7 minutes, he'd had about 3 shots off or 2 shots. And created a bundle more. What a first half he had, definitely. I love the fact that he's willing to take the man on and he's got the pace and the technique to do so. By the look of it, but also when the space isn't there, he's not afraid to cut inside and take a couple of players on and get a shot off. He looks like he's always one that's trying to just find that extra wee half yard of space to get a shot away, which is something we have been missing, probably since Sima went out of the squad for the AFCON and obviously came back injured. We've not had somebody cutting in from that side with a goal threat. So although he never actually got his goal, he did create a lot of hassle for the Ayr United backline. And I think if he can keep up that sort of intensity and commitment, then we're going to see a lot more from him.
Absolutely. And RFC72 says here in the live chat, he says, the right back didn't have a clue what to do with Cortez. I think for me, Damian, as well, the fact is that he's 20 years old, he's young and upcoming. And I think we kind of have to remember as well, he hasn't actually got a lot of Europe. Whilst he's played obviously for Millonarios in Colombia, has experience out there in terms and played Copa Libertadores football, which is obviously their version of the Champions League, actual European experience. And we know the European game is very different to the South American game. He doesn't have a great deal of experience actually playing in Europe yet. I think that was probably one of his first starts he's actually made in Europe. When he was at Lens, he played 4 times in their league campaign. All those appearances came as a sub. So he's still learning the game. He's still a very young lad. And, you're right what you say. He's got quick feet. He looked to cut in, looked to go outside. He looks really exciting. And I just think that, to me, with someone like Philippe Clement working with him, with Stefan van der Heyden working with him, with Alex Ray working with him, it's going to be a real upward developmental curve. And I think you're right in what you say, Damian. That place on the left, he's going to kind of, I think, with the absence of Sima, obviously, until probably the end of the season, do you think he's going to make that place his own, or will Rabbi Matondo have a say in who plays on that left-hand side?
I think if Cortez keeps playing the way he's showed he can do, and bearing in mind, like you say, he is young and he's just in the door, you would expect that he's only going to improve, wouldn't you? Don't get me wrong, I love Rabbi's effort and pace and sort of running and commitment as well. But what Cortez perhaps has an edge on him is the actual execution and the technique, and that just little bit of quality and trickery in the right moments to kind of do something special in the final third.
Absolutely. That is. Look, I don't want to slag Rabbi Matondo off, but Rabbi's a good player. It's just his final production. I think Oscar does have and here is Lorah. Hey, Lorah.
Yes, Lorah. Hiya.
Hi. Sorry, I'm late.
Don't worry, Lorah.
Right.
We told you what we told everyone. You were delayed from work, so that's not a problem at all. We're just talking about Oscar. Sorry, Lorah. Yeah.
I was just saying, as well as that, I don't know if anybody watching lives kind of local to the Wishaw area, but there is a crazy storm happening. There's lightning, thunder, snow, hailstones, rain, and wind. So that was crazy driving home there.
We had the really bad hailstones there about half an hour ago, but I've not seen any lightning or anything like that yet. But we had like sideways hailstones for about 10 minutes there, about half an hour ago. It was mad.
God, it's nothing down here. It's nice and calm down here in England. I need to come up there for a bit of wild weather. Perhaps it's the second coming. Perhaps, the world's coming to an end, Lorah, in Wishaw.
Maybe.
So we're just talking about Oscar Cortez, Lorah, on Saturday. What was your take on Cortez on Saturday?
Oh, I think he looked amazing. He was so up for it. He's a really talented player. He never made any mistakes whatsoever. Watching him, see, even the first 5 minutes when I seen him, I thought he's going to be a fantastic player, a great asset to Rangers.
Absolutely, 100% he is. Ewan Minton's called you a Glasgow Rangers Nation goddess there, Lorah. There we go. And Big Phil says, oh no, Laura's from Wishy. Apparently he spent many drunken nights in Wishaw General.
Oh, God.
I don't know anything about that. Stephen, I think, is taking the mickey slightly here with this one. 22 degrees and sunny in Falkirk, apparently.
I doubt it.
Is there a Falkirk in the Bahamas that I don't know about?
Yeah, it's moved 100%. But yeah, I think, like we said, Cortez is definitely one for the future and is an exceptional talent. I think someone hopefully who is really gonna play exceptionally well for us in the future and be a game changer. I think that's one thing for me, Lorah, about him. He looks like someone who could actually be a game changer.
Absolutely. That guy has to start every game for me. What we've seen on what day are we on? I'm losing my days. I've just finished work. Saturday. What we've seen on Saturday was outstanding for me. First game.
Yeah, Saturday. Absolutely, yeah, he did really, really well. Now, look, I mean, overall, I think it was a performance, like we said. Damian and I have been saying that, Lorah, we've been saying that it was a job done performance. It was a get through and get up the road kind of display, wasn't it?
Aye, I mean, it was nothing special. The game, we weren't blown away by it. But like you're saying, we done what we had to do. We got to see Cortez, and I think everybody's happy with him. I didn't hear what you were saying about him. I'm assuming you think the same.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and job done, 3 points down the road. So more than like I'm saying, it wasn't a fantastic game to watch. You did see the stadium start to empty for kind of 70 minutes onwards, but I was happy.
Yeah, I think we're all happy just to get through to that next round. Now, one of the talking points, and it seems to be causing an awful lot of controversy still, and I think some of it is perhaps that lot from across the city kind of spinning it because of all the negative press they've been having because of the how can I put this diplomatically without getting myself in trouble? Interesting decisions against Hibernian the other night. Connor Goldson, that tackle and possible red card incident against Ayr. Where he goes running over halfway, he lets the ball go too far in front of him. He then lunges at the Ayr player. Lorah, did you see that? And what's your take on that?
I seen it and I seen the replay. I haven't then went back and watched it again. I do remember saying that's a red. Like I'm saying, I've not watched it back to fully look at it, but I do remember straight away going, that's silly, Connor, that's a red. Yeah, get away with it.
Yeah, I did. Damian, what was your take on it?
Yeah, he's very lucky. I think I have kind of watched it back a couple of times, and although he's taken a risk by lunging in like that, I don't think he makes any sort of dangerous contact to warrant a red card or anything like that. However, he puts himself in that position by taking a really stupid, heavy touch with absolutely no pressure on him. It's completely unforced error, total amateurish stuff, and it just puts him and the entire backline under pressure. And instead of, reading it and trying to win the ball back sensibly, he realises he's made an arse of it and just throws himself in. And, I think he does get a bit lucky because if that falls a certain way, if he goes over the ball and catches a player a certain angle, a certain way, then you could be looking at 10 men for the rest of the game. So, but very, very silly, just unnecessary. And he created it himself by just taking a stupid heavy touch.
Yeah, agreed, absolutely. And we're going to talk a bit more about Connor in a minute, one of Laura's favourite topics. Lorah does love a bit of Connor. But I don't know if you guys saw, just off topic for a minute. The reason I'm bringing it up now is because Hugster's made a good comment here in the live chat. Dressing room is a happy one. Good video today showing nice banter between Balogun and Diamand. Have either of you seen that clip today where Diamand comes into training wearing an Ivory Coast top? Baiting Nigerian Balogun. Damian,
No.
I take it from...
Oh, I've not seen that.
I saw that. Balogun's getting him pelters for wearing his Ivory Coast top into training. He says, I'll be back the day, put your shin pads on, son. He's kind of winding him up. He's saying he's going to come for him in training. Quite good to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, Lorah, it's on Instagram, Lorah. It's on Leon Balogun's Instagram. Check it out when you can. Proper wind up, yeah. He's wearing Mohamed Diamand is wearing his Ivory Coast shirt. And he takes his jumper off. He's got the Ivory Coast shirt on. He's giving it the big wind up with Leon Balogun, obviously over AFCON. And as Damian says, Leon Balogun gives him it back by saying, "Yeah, put your shin pads on. I'm coming for you, little fella." Basically, classic. Love it. Now let's talk a bit of Connor Goldson. Now, look, I've had I think there's some slight misunderstanding of what I've said on the video this morning and what I've said on X about Connor Goldson. Like, look, I like Connor Goldson. I don't think he's a bad footballer. I think he's a great communicator. He covers for Tav well when Tav goes raiding forward. And he has been a very good defender for Rangers. And some of his form has been excellent. What I've said is 3 out of the last 4 games, in my opinion, he hasn't not played well. He's been poor. The one good performance came against Livingston, which was where Livingston played pretty much anti-football for the entire 90 minutes. Should Goldson be given like a bit of a rocky up his backside and dropped for the next game, or do you think that his presence is so vital to us? Damian, what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's a funny one because, like you, I can recognise obviously that in the main he's been a terrific defender for us, probably our most consistent and solid central defender that we've had at the club for a number of years. However, it does have, I think somebody said in the comments, a brain fart in him. That's probably the best way I can explain it. He does have a brain fart in him, and because of the way we play, when he does have a brain fart, they tend to be quite costly. They put us under a great deal of pressure very, very quickly, and it can create problems for us. Obviously, the goal against Aberdeen that we conceded before half-time, it's another lump ball over the top. You're probably thinking Butland could come for it, but it looks as though Goldson's maybe shouted for it, thinking I can take him, but then he doesn't. He gets bullied off the ball, and then we lose a goal from that, and it puts us under huge pressure. So whilst I recognise he's been a great defender for us, I do agree with you, Owen, in that he has recently, in recent matches, not been quite at it, and maybe could do with being, having just sitting a couple of games out.
Okay, yeah, I see that as a point. Lorah, what do you think? Sorry if I'm insulting your Connor.
My corner. No, I completely agree with the both of you, and I've said it myself. Like the both of you have covered there, he has been a massive asset to Rangers. A great defender. He's loyal. He's consistent. But recently, he's been making too many mistakes for me. I've seen me screaming his name at the screen. We lost a goal, and I do blame him for his conceding. And I totally agree. I think sit him out. We've got not plenty of replacements. We've got a good enough replacement for him. And I think he probably has to sit out, just because if you see a player 3 games or more, drop him. He's not on his ball now. He's not on his game now. So sit out so he has got that kick up the backside. I wouldn't like to see him drop for the team completely, but a wee bit of discipline. That he has to know that he has to do better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's what I'm saying. For those of you out there that have said to me, "Oh, how could you, even consider getting rid of God?" It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the last three out of the last 4 games, he has not played well, and he's also this season as well conceded the same goal 3 times. Now, once is forgivable. Once you make a mistake, we all make mistakes. Heaven, I've made loads of them in my life, but to make the same mistake twice is kind of, you haven't learned. To make it 3 times with that ball over the top when he gets turned and left, to me, he just doesn't look on form. And like you're both saying, just to rocket up his backside to say, you're not undroppable, you're not untouchable, you need to up your levels, Connor. You need to raise it. And I know some people are saying, well, he's the best defender we've got, but, well, that's not a great, it's not a great comparison, really, is it? It's not a reason just to keep him because of that. If his form is not good enough. Now, someone for me that in my opinion, please feel free to disagree with this, guys, in the live chat, or Damian and Lorah, please feel free to disagree. John Sutter, I think, has played really well in recent games. Now, I think Big Leon's probably been our best defender this season for me, because he's no nonsense. He's just been fantastic this season. But what's your take on John Sutter in recent games, Lorah? Let's start with you.
I think John Sutter has showed us the kind of defender that he is. I think he's been playing brilliant recently. I think he absolutely deserves to start for Rangers. He's not made any mistakes that I can think of recently. He's done a lot for the team. I'm a big fan of Sutter. I never used to be, and I can't think why I never used to be a fan of him. But recently, this season, definitely deserves his place for me.
Absolutely. Damian, what's your take on John Sutter?
Yeah, like Lorah says, he's been really consistent recently. I managed to get some stats from John Walker, analyst on X. In the games since Beale left, and not including the weekend, his stats have actually been incredible. He's had just shy of 90% pass completion, 100% dribble success, over 90% tackles won, upwards of 73% duels won, upwards of 71% aerial duels won. Those are terrific statistics for a centre half, especially when you consider the amount of kind of balls getting lumped in at our back line. So I think it's kind of there in the statistics, but also just from watching the games, the eye test, you can see how well he reads the games. You can see how well he anticipates, and he's passing out from the back, he's playing out from the back, and his long balls have really improved as well. So I certainly think he's put himself in contention really there to be first choice.
Absolutely. Now, lots of people in the live chat making comments about us. He says, Stephen says, Sutter, his class seems to have stepped up, especially considering he's usually playing on the left, which, as we know, is not his normal position. He is a right-sided centre half. I think people sort of kind of forget as well, you know, if you're naturally right-footed and you're playing on the left, it's not massively easy to use a foot. And I know that's perhaps wrong to say you're a professional footballer, you should be able to use both feet, but it's where you're comfortable. You know, we all have places where we're comfortable in work and jobs we're comfortable doing. One of the things that really impresses me about Sutter in recent games, and I think it's sort of what Hugster's touching on here in his point, is the way he brings the ball out from the back, the way he breaks the lines, and he kind of draws those defensive midfielders towards him as he goes through, and helps to create a little bit of space as well. You know, a bit like Alan Hansen did back in the day. I'm not saying he's in the same class as Alan Hansen, but you know, he's definitely got that ability to drive forward and bring those defenders out, and that's something that's really impressive from Sutter. What do you think, Damian?
Yeah, totally agree. It just gives us another dynamic, doesn't it? Balogun does it fairly well as well, I've got to say, but obviously he's not quite got the kind of pace and the sort of endurance to do that frequently. Sutter, being a bit younger, can obviously do that multiple times throughout the game, and he does do it well. And as you say, it does give us a different dynamic coming out from the back, rather than just the big diagonals or trying to always go out wide all the time and cross balls in. It gives us that little bit of an opening kind of through the middle to let the likes of Silva come short, get the ball, and create an opening for himself, rather than waiting up front isolated the way Desas kind of tends to do.
Absolutely, 100%. Laura, what's your take? Have you been impressed and seen that in recent games?
Yeah, I completely agree with the way he comes out for the back. I like to see that. What you also notice is he gives 100%. He really does. And like you're saying, he's creating different spaces that we don't always see when Balogun is there. Don't get me wrong, I think Balogun is a great player. You know, I'm not saying I don't want to see him there. I just think Sutter plays a bit different and does create different spaces, different chances for us. If I had to choose between the two of them, I probably would choose Sutter, but I do love Balogun as well. But aye.
Absolutely. And Vladdy says, let's be honest, Goldson, Sutter, Balogun and Davis are not the level of centre-half we need going forward. Look, Vladdy, I think there is a need for an overhaul in the summer. I think the defence is something we do need to look at. And yes, we have got a good defence this season. I think largely down to Jack Butland and his organisation of them and his talking to them and what he does. But the one thing we've all got to think, I suppose, is that of that back four with Leon, with Connor, with Tav, with Borna, none of them are getting any younger. So I think that's obviously a concern. Damian, if you were the manager, what at this moment in time, what is your best, if everyone's fit, of course, what is your best centre-half pairing?
Well, based purely on recent form, you've got to go with Sutter and Balogun, if fit, of course. And his little video earlier on today kind of hinted that he is kind of back on the pitch already with his mask, so he could be seeing him sooner than later. I think if Balogun's available, he needs to start, and I would maybe give Goldson a bit of a break, stick Sutter and Balogun in there.
Absolutely. Laura, what's your top two centre-half pairing at the moment if you were picking the team for Wednesday night or the team going forward?
So for the moment right now, I'm going to Sutter and Balogun. If you were asking me generally, it would be Goldson and Sutter, but for just now, I do think Goldson does maybe have to miss out a wee bit, so it would be Balogun and Sutter for me for now for Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think this is the thing, guys. I think those of you, who are Goldson fans, we're not slagging Goldson off. We're not saying he's finished. We're not saying he's done. What we are saying is that he needs a break. He needs a rest. He's not playing great at the moment. And we can't afford players to be out there trying to play themselves into form. That just isn't realistic with the importance of the games we've got coming up at the moment. It is, an absolutely vital period, and we just cannot afford to drop any points. Now, someone who's really impressed me in the last couple of games, Damian and Lorah, I guess they may have impressed you as well, is Todd Cantwell. What are you seeing from Cantwell now that that perhaps we weren't seeing before, Damian?
Yeah, he seems to be playing with a bit of confidence again, doesn't he? He seems to have sort of regained that sort of swagger that, remember when he first joined, he had a wee bit about him, that wee bit of kind of X factor, that sometimes you need creative players to have, just a wee bit of cockiness about them to try something a wee bit different. And I think obviously with him having been injured as well, probably didn't help that, but and also been played out of position a few times. But back in his sort of natural position in the 10 and being given a bit of freedom, also obviously back up to speed from his injury, he does seem to be playing with that sort of swagger and that confidence again. And obviously it's shown in his performances and in his numbers with goals and creating chances and stuff. Yeah, I definitely think he's coming on to a game, and it's really good to see.
Absolutely. Lorah, what's your take on how Cantwell is playing at this moment in time?
Yeah, I'm the same as well. I couldn't think of the word, but I think swagger was actually quite a good word for Damian there. I remember when Cantwell first came, he was a wee bit cheeky. He had that something about him, and then it was almost like his confidence just went. I know the players were on his back a wee bit. We sort of lost him for a wee while there, and then I think he got a goal and he got another goal, and you just started seeing the Cantwell that we've seen when he first came come back into play. And I think it is all down to confidence. I feel like he's got that confidence back in his position again. I think he should stay there. I think Cantwell's really important to the team, and I like that we've got the old Cantwell back. I'm not sure what happened to him there for a wee bit, but I think he's came back to our OG Cantwell.
Absolutely. Canwell's been fantastic for me. He's starting to run games. He's starting to control games. He's starting to really, like you said, like you've both said, get that swagger back. And, even when he came on Saturday, that, the assist for the Silva goal, just his all-round play has been a lot better. I think it's 4 goals in 6 games, 5 in 7. Decent stats from a midfielder, which is what we need. We need someone to step up and score those goals and really sort of lead that midfield. Good point here from Joe actually raises. Canwell wants to impress his new pal Silva. Damian, are you seeing? I don't know if you're. One thing I'm seeing when those two blue play together, their link-up play and the way they interchange possession, they seem to be developing a real understanding at the moment.
Yeah, definitely, and it's really good to see. That's exactly what you want from your attacking players, and particularly with Silva, obviously coming in. He's not been in the door that long. He seems to have hit the ground running in that respect. In terms of, like you say, kind of getting an understanding of what we're trying to do in the final third and creating relationships there. And like you say, you can see, I think with them both having that freedom to sort of interchange positions, to kind of come short and overlap each other, it's proven very fruitful, and they do seem to be working really well together. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Lorah, have you seen that nice link up, and what's your take on it between Silva and Cantwell?
I think they're very similar in the way they play. I can see a good bond starting there. I mean, Cantwell's assist, fantastic. One thing I would want to say when it comes to Silva is I've noticed he's quite stroppy, and you need a bit of that in football, but sometimes it can be a wee bit too much. Like lying on the ground, throwing, get back up, right? Gave you just get back up. I'm not wanting to take away kind of good player that he is. I just want to kind of that point. I was getting a wee bit frustrated with him on Saturday. I'm like, just kind of get back up. But like I'm saying, that can come in handy at times, being like that. But yeah, I see they two quite similar, and I like to see the two of them play together, and I hope we keep seeing that.
Absolutely. And Silva, that stroppiness, that almost throwing the toddler strops at times when he doesn't get his own way. Sure brings back some memories for those of you with children out there for supermarket moments and other moments when toddlers throw themselves on the floor. But I think that's kind of it's kind of a Portuguese thing. I think it's the Latin temperament, Damian.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that previously, didn't we? It's does seem to be a bit of a theme, but I think like has been said, it is good to see that sort of level of passion. If you didn't have that, you would kind of wonder, well, did they even really care? But at the same time, especially when you're on a booking, you need to kind of wind your neck a wee bit, don't you? Sometimes.
Yeah,
absolutely. You don't want to get yourself sent off. I love this comment, by the way. Sharpie says that no one had the swagger like Scotty Arfield. Oh God, you know what, Damian? I would love to have him back. Yeah, absolutely. Get the salute. Damian, would you love to see Scotty back?
Yeah, I've been speaking about this with people recently as well. He's one of those players, man. I don't think he would be starting in this team, but what an impact sub he is. See, when you need a bit of something, a bit of spark and a bit of magic to kind of see a game out or to get a game over the line. What better player than Arfield to come off the line and come off the bench, sorry, and just create a wee moment of magic and yeah. I still think he could do a job off the bench for us, although I don't think he would start personally.
No, I think he's a bench player, but yeah, I think he could be an impact. Laura, do you miss Scotty?
Oh, I miss him so much. I was absolutely devastated when he left. But completely agree. I don't think he's a starter because he was a super, and he did make some magic happen when he came off that goal. That was something. He was there. Definitely not good enough to be in the starting 11, but super sub, I would take him back all day long.
Absolutely, we all love Scotty, and Scotty is a legend, absolutely a legend. And the Arfield salute, we all miss seeing that, don't we, at Ibrox? And yeah, and lots of people are trying to obviously copy it. I think Fashion tried it at the end of last season and got short shrift from Scotty for doing it. I think which was quite funny to see. One thing that keeps obviously a lot of people have raised in the live chat actually is set pieces and us scoring from set pieces. A couple of observations I've got on that. Yes, one, we do seem to struggle from set pieces. I think partially down to delivery is poor a lot of the time, and also this rule that it seems to be that only our fullbacks are allowed to take set pieces. Yet we've got players like Canwell on the field, Silva on the field. We've got wingers like Cortez on the field, McCausland on the field who can cross the ball. Yet it only seems to be the fullbacks that are allowed to take the set pieces. Laura, why? What do you think? The set pieces that Rangers take, not good. And why is it only the fullbacks that are allowed to take them?
Honestly, you're definitely asking the wrong person. These set pieces, they just don't work. And like you're saying, it is just coming from the back. You see it happening, and it doesn't ever follow through and come to anything. I don't know. So I would love to sit at the training ground sometimes and speak to them like as if I'm their manager, or let me know why is it going so wrong. It's quite frustrating actually.
So, Damian, what do you think? There does seem to be a real lack of us scoring from set pieces. I mean, I think the statistic ones we've scored. I think we've scored from one in something like 300 corners or something ridiculous like that. What is the issue? And also, Damian, why is it only the fullbacks that are allowed to take them?
Mate, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with it. It's particularly with the corners. Like you say, we're very, very seldom score from them. And it's a bit bizarre given the height that we've got in the box. Do you know what I mean? They were after the signings in the summer, they were calling it the land of the giants and all that kind of stuff. And they were making a big thing about what a threat we're going to be from set pieces and aerial balls and that. But I just don't see it. As for the fullback thing, I don't get it either. I don't know. Obviously, Tavernier takes most of them anyway, but I don't know why it has to be like Borna or Ridvan, whoever's on. Same with the throw-ins as well. Sometimes you're thinking you could just take a wee quick throw, whoever's there, but then they stand about waiting for Tav to come, and by the time Tav's come to take it, the defence is reorganised and you're facing the low block again. Why can't the person that's standing right next to it just quickly take it?
Absolutely,
it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
It is. It reminds me of school playground stuff, doesn't it? When you're playing with the older kids, and the older kids have got to take all the set pieces and the throw-ins.
You're not allowed. You're not allowed to take them.
Yeah, that's Tav. You're not allowed.
Like when it's Laura. I don't Red fan taking them because he's got absolutely no height in him anyway, so he's probably better crossing in. But I would rather see Tav and Borna in the box, a bit of height. And I like there's some of the corners as well. I'm like, just let him take it. He's right there.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree, Laura. And Tav's quite good at heading the ball as well. So like you said, Laura. So why is he not in the box? I don't get it. Box,
he's a goal scorer.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Now, look, one thing obviously we've all touched on a bit of Fabio Silva there and how good Fabio's been. You know, his movement is excellent. He works the whole back four a bit Morelos-esque in that way that he works them over. Perhaps it's not quite the same physicality that Alfie had. You know, even though we've got this rotation, and Philip has talked about the need for rotate. Does Silva need to start all of our important games between now and the end of the season, or do we trust Desas enough to come in and play in those important games, Damian?
This is why I wish we'd signed another out-and-out striker in the transfer window, because yes, I would be starting Silva over Desas, and that kind of, although Desas is scoring goals, we talked earlier about you're not always going to get the number of chances required that he needs to score goals every game. But we need somebody that's a bit sharper. And Silva offers that wee bit extra, as you say, working the back line and coming short and creating openings for himself rather than just waiting up top for things to come to him. I would start Silva over Desas, even though he's not an out-and-out striker, and that's mad to say, but he's kind of the best option that we've got in there at the moment, I think.
Absolutely. Laura, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I'm the same. For me, Silva starts, and again, like, you know, he isn't technically a striker, but he creates chances and he works really hard. He creates things, whereas Desas, I do feel like Desas is kind of sitting about waiting for the ball to drop to his feet. When Desas is trying to create stuff, it just doesn't. He loses the ball. I don't think he's very skillful. I don't think he's very technical. I think Desas needs the ball to drop at his feet, and Rangers aren't great at that. Let's be honest, they aren't. So for me, I think they've definitely got that bit more. I would like to see Desas come on maybe 60, 70 minutes. You maybe get a goal at him, absolutely. But it's Silva starting for me.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way forward. And yeah, Sharpie says Desas is better coming off the bench. And certainly, you know, if you look back at his time at Feyenoord, that's where he was more successful, getting his goals off the bench. One thing that always worries me, Damian and Laura, about Cyril Desas is the fact that it seems in the really big games, like the Old Firm game, like the Aberdeen game, you know, when the pressure's on, he seems to, I don't know, just go to pieces a little bit and not be able to finish that big chance when it falls to him. Whereas, yeah, he is scoring the goals, say, against the Hibs of this world, the Kilmarnocks and people like that. But it's those big games when you really need someone to score. That's when it worries me. That's when he really worries me, Damian.
Yeah, absolutely. It is frustrating because you can see in moments that he has got a bit about him in terms of some of the goals he scored for us have been absolutely brilliant, but it's the consistency and the ability to replicate that time and time again, and particularly in the bigger high pressure games, like you say, it just doesn't seem to be there. And for playing for a club like Rangers, this is what we were all saying during the transfer window. We can't hang our hat on somebody like that. We need a consistent finisher who can take big chances in big moments in big games and just not crumble under the pressure.
Absolutely. Laura, one of the things that Damian and I were saying at the start that worries us, and I don't know if this is a question, I'm trying to get your opinion on this, is something that still worries us on this fight on three fronts still, is the lack of someone who is super clinical in the box. We still seem to be lacking that. Is that something that worries you in going forward?
It does, and I thought that worry would have been taken away from me in January, and it wasn't. I was hoping that we would sign a consistent goal scorer, somebody that you know is going to come in every game, score goals. We don't have that consistent goal scorer, and Desas does crumble. I mean, Desas will score a world-class goal and then crumble at a sitter, you know, the open goal, and he skies it. That's just not consistent. Desas is a wee bit of a worry. You don't know what you're going to get with him when he comes on. And Silva, I mean, we've not seen too much of him yet to see what he's like in these high-pressured games or not, but I think he would do better in these bigger games.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think what we've got to remember is that he comes from playing for Porto. He's played Champions League football for Porto. He played PSV Eindhoven last season in big games there, won the Dutch Cup, I think they beat Feyenoord in the final. He's played European football at PSV. He played he's played for Anderlecht. So he has played both games. He has played big games for other bigger teams in those leagues. Now, I'm not saying for any minute, stretch the imagination, those teams are anywhere near as big as Rangers. Of course they're not, but they are still big teams in their respective leagues, and he's done it there. So, look, he for me, I think, does have that little bit more of experience, a little bit more of that ability to perhaps do it at that higher level. Desas does worry me, and I got pelters from a couple of Rangers fans for saying this, but that chance that Silva took on Saturday, where he spins on it and smashes it into the back of the net, Damian, I think you saw my tweet on X about this. For me, Desas hits that. If you're sitting in Rose Edge, you've got a duck.
Yeah, unfortunately, that you're probably right on that, and I hate just kind of hating on individuals, but looking at what we watching these games every single week, we're analysing constantly. We're looking for players that excite us, players we can depend on, players that give us confidence as supporters that they're going to deliver and do the job for us. And like you say, that moment for Silva there on the spin. That's more difficult than it looks, by the way, and he absolutely buries it. Does Desas just crumble? Probably. Obviously, we don't know. It's all hypothetical, but you've got to say on the balance of probabilities, he probably doesn't finish that if he's on the park at that point.
Laura, what do you think? Would you be ducking if you were in Rose Ed and you saw Cyril Desas spinning on the ball?
Absolutely, I would be ducking completely. He would. I'm saying 1,000,000%, right? Of course, it's hypothetical. We don't know. I don't think for 1 second Desas scores that. I think Desas skies that. The way Silva has managed that, and I just don't think Desas has the capability to do that. When it comes to goals like that, he was in the perfect position. He turned perfectly. He shot it perfectly. Desas doesn't do that. Desas skies that for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, guys, I know you might think that's harsh out there in the live chat and people are picking up this video at a later date, but look, it's just going off experience from what we've seen, I think. And look, none of us hate Cyril Desas. What we as Rangers fans, we want is the best, and we want our players to play well. And if Cyril Desas goes on to score 20-25 goals this season, fantastic, because it probably means we win the league or the cup or something, or all 3 trophies. That would be lovely. I am being jealous here, but it is what we're going off what we've seen so far. And yes, Hugster, his goal against Betis was a thing of beauty, but I think what we're saying, it's so inconsistent. That's the problem with it. So inconsistent. And yeah, Ian, he might get 20, but yeah, you're right. He still is not the answer in the big question. Now, Laura, Damian, the draw was obviously made yesterday, or was it the day before? I've lost track of days as well. I can't even remember what day it is today. So the draw was obviously Greenock Morton Greenock Morton, sorry. Actually, I'll ask, you're both Scottish. Is it Greenock or Greenock?
Greenock.
I say Greenock, yeah.
Greenock.
Okay, so Greenock.
Never heard Greenock in my life.
Okay, that's probably me Englishing it. I was Englishing it up a little bit there. Or trying to be too Scottish, I don't know. There we go. So Greenock Morton versus Hearts, Aberdeen versus Killie, Celtic versus Livy, and Hibs versus Rangers. Laura, what was your take on that draw?
I was quite happy to get Hibs. I don't like Hibs. I'm not a fan of Hibs. I don't like them. I don't like their manager. I don't like fans. I know that sounds really harsh. I'm not usually this bad, but I'm just not a fan. And right now, I mean, they are known for them. They're playing terrible. I've seen a couple of their games recently, so I'm quite happy to get Hibs. As for the rest of them, Celtic or whatever, I'm really no interested in how they've got. Just concentrating on us and bring on Hibs. I love playing them. Absolutely.
Damian, what was your take on the draw?
Yeah, like Laura, I only really had eyes on who we drew, to be honest. Hibs away, yeah, fairly happy with that. I think it's eminently doable for us. I think most of us would have preferred though to get the other lot at home, wouldn't we? Just get them taken care of, get them out of the way. But yeah, no, I think it's a doable draw. But as I always say, we need to. These games don't just take care of themselves. We need to turn up and do the work.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've been to Hibs Easter Road this season. We've won that game. There's no doubt in my mind that with the players we've got and the fact that Philippe takes every game seriously, that we're going to be in a great place to go forward. Now, look, the likelihood obviously is that lot across the city get through as well, given the fact they're playing the anti-football Livingston, who don't seem to want to attack anybody. Laura, Damian, here's the choice. Would you rather play Celtic in the semi, or I know this is thinking ahead and been a bit, prejudging, or would you rather play them in a final? Lorah, where would you rather play Celtic, a semi or the final?
You know, I'm going to say final. You know, the buzz, the atmosphere, waking up in the morning, know you've got them in the final. The thing, I mean, we're just not showing up at Old Firms now, though. So there is obviously the hype before the game, the excitement, the build-up. That's what I live for. That I absolutely love that. But then there's always what's recently been happening in Old Firms is how you feel after it. I would still go. I would rather have them in the final.
Absolutely. Okay. Damian, where would you rather have them, semi or the final?
I would rather get them out of the way as early as possible, to be honest with you. Although we're on a bit of an upturn in terms of our performances and results, and they do seem to be on a wee bit of a downtick. I still don't know the mentality thing. Although it's improved under Clement, I feel that there's still a bit of a there seems to be a bit of a mental block when it comes to them. So yeah, I don't know if that multiplied with the fact that it's a final and a chance to win a trophy as well, maybe just too much. I would rather just get them out the way. I would have rather had them in this next round and just get them dispatched with.
Absolutely, yeah. And I suppose, yeah, you're both right in what you say. There does seem to be a little bit of a mental block which we've got to overcome when it comes to them, because we just do seem to blow it in games that where I know we beat them 3-0 at the end of last season, but that was pretty much a dead rubber. The league was done and dusted, and there was not a lot riding on it. So, yeah, when it matters, when the pressure's really on, we do seem to kind of have this issue with them, don't we? DC, I think we'd all rather Livy pump them, but I think there's probably more chance of hell freezing over and a squadron of pigs flying over my house than Livingston actually beating Celtic. But for those of us who've seen Livingston play in the last few games, just one of the worst teams I've ever seen play football. They are absolutely shocking. Aldo says, Hart says play them in the final, but Head says get them out ASAP. Aldo, lots of Aldos in Scotland. Very common name up there, isn't it? So, yeah, I agree. I think, Hibs is probably, aside of, I suppose, having Green at Morton at Ibrox, is probably the easiest tie you probably could have got out of all those. Hearts are in pretty decent form. Aberdeen are always bang up for us. Kilmarnock are a team that do slightly worry me, especially with us having to play them at Rugby Park. So, yeah, I think Hibs is probably the easiest we can get. Now, we turn back to the league on Wednesday. It's Valentine's night, Lorah, on Wednesday night. Is your date, Lorah, with Rangers on Wednesday night?
Absolutely. Of course. I don't care. Valentine's, Christmas, his birthday, Rangers comes first. And that'll be my Valentine's night.
Damian, is your Valentine's date the Ross County game?
Much to the dismay of my girlfriend, it is, yeah. She knows the score, though. She's okay. She's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been getting pelters for it. Yeah, so look, it's...
You didn't answer the question. Is Rangers your date on Valentine's night?
I hope so.
Still working on it.
I'm working on that one, yeah. I'm working on it. So, look, it's a massive game, isn't it? It's a huge game. And I know that seems really bizarre to say when we were playing, it's Ross County after all. And Ross County aren't, they're second off bottom. They're not a great team, but it is absolutely massive on Wednesday night. What's your thoughts going into that game, Damian?
Like you say, absolutely massive for no other reason than obviously we've got an opportunity to go top of the league. I know Big Phil says he's not thinking about that. And to be honest, we don't really want the players thinking about that either. But for us supporters, we've got to have something to kind of get excited about at this stage of the season. And it is a big opportunity for us. Like you said, they're not doing terribly well right now. But we are prone to kind of making an arse of things as well sometimes, as we've seen against the likes of Limassol, even against other games where you're thinking that we would walk it, we've kind of struggled being up against it a wee bit. So I always say I never take anything for granted, but you would expect us to get the 3 points, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, hopefully. Lorah, it's massive, isn't it? What are your thoughts on Wednesday night?
Aye, it is massive. I mean, in recent years, it's not often it's happening. And if Phil and the players aren't really concentrating on that, that's fine. But me as a fan, that is solely what I'm concentrating on. We are one to go top on Wednesday. I need to go top on Wednesday. I'm counting down the settings because I work in an area that is Celtic, Coatbridge, right? So every day I work with, I'm getting pelters constantly. To be able to walk into work and let it all out, that it's massive for me. I've not been able to slag them for ages. I need to walk in and have them payback.
Would you be walking in singing every Saturday we follow, or famous RFC maybe?
Harder, I think it would be the sash. I'm not going to lie.
You'd get in trouble for that, though, would you? Hulkster says roses are red, violets are blue. Ross County FC, we're going to pump you. I love that. DC says I'll be treating the missus to some live music on Valentine's Day. Me singing Four Lads Had a Dream. There we go. DC, or get Damian's version on. I'm not saying you can't sing, mate, but there we go. Simon says as well, we are due to give some team a good pumping. Hopefully it will be this Wednesday. Now, obviously, it's got to be 3 clear goals for us to win the game, to go top of the league, on Wednesday. Lots of people have been very confident here in the live chat with their predictions for that game. In terms of the actual way to line up against Ross County on Wednesday, the way I've gone is Butland, Tav, Sutter, Balogun if fit. Philippe Clement did say that it would depend how he adapts to wearing the mask to protect his face. Ridvan, for me, would start at left back. Lundstrom and Lawrence, McCausland, Canwell, Cortez and Silva would be my starting 11. Damian, how would you start the game on Wednesday?
I had pretty much exactly the same as yourself, except I originally had Goldson and Sutter as a back line, obviously with Balogun's fitness being in doubt. However, as we discussed earlier on, if fit, I would give Goldson a break and get Sutter and Balogun in. But apart from that, I would pretty much go with what you've put. Lundstrom's been solid in there. Lawrence as well, even coming from deeper, has been showing a lot of promise. And Cortez, give him another start. Let him show us what he can do.
Absolutely, Lorah. How would you start the game?
So mine's I'm pretty much word for word what Damian said there. The exact same. I did if I was choosing a couple of games ago, I would have had Goldson in there, but Balogun and Sutter for me. Lundstrom's so important. That guy is solid. Definitely come back into his game. He's really important. Cortez as well. Can't wait to see him play again. I loved watching him play at the weekend. I thought he was brilliant. So my starting 11's the same as yours.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's some quality players there. One player I do hope we see a little bit more of on Wednesday night after he made his full debut on Saturday is Mohamed Diamand. Now, I said on the video this morning, I talked about the fact that obviously Dio hasn't actually played since November, I think it was, for Norgesland in that 6-1 victory over Fenerbahce. So he does need time to come up to speed. Damien, are you excited to see a bit more of Mohamed Diamand?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as has been commented on, he's not played for quite a wee while. So I think the expectation on him starting there isn't as high as for some others. You can kind of forgive him a little bit of rustiness and a little bit of indecision and things like that. But actually, he looked pretty sharp. He's shown some early signs of being quite a handy player, playing a bit higher up the park. I think Clement said he was playing him a bit higher than he normally does as well. So it's interesting to see how effective he can be up there. But he did look confident with the ball at his feet. He looked quick. He looked pretty alert, kind of reading the game and making spaces for himself. So, very much excited to see more from him and see where he can fit in our midfield.
Absolutely. Lorah, are you excited to see a bit more of Mohamed Diamand?
I really am. I think the comment I made about him get a wee bit misunderstood. I got a few comments back about it. I had said I thought he played really well. I just expected a wee bit more. Now, I wasn't criticising him at all. Like Damian said, he played really well. I don't know what I was expecting. By the end of the game, I was thinking, I wish I'd seen a wee bit more from him, but I certainly wasn't criticising him. I think he is going to be a great player for the team, and I want to see him start. I want to see him play.
Absolutely, yeah. He looks good and he looks quality, and I think he's someone who can make a real difference. He can break lines. He can goes box to box. He's got a good range of passing. He looks a real talent, and he certainly seems to have a bit of something about him as well, a bit of a character about him. As we saw on that Balogun video today. I've got to say, Hogster is on form tonight. It really is on form tonight. The wee man has a long future at the club. Diamand days are forever, apparently. Sorry, troops, I'll get my coat. Hogster's on form tonight. He really is. I love that. Diamand days are forever. He does look a very, very good player, and I'm excited to see him. One point that has been brought up, actually, before we move on to predictions for Wednesday night, Cortez is not in the European squad. That's going to be a big miss, Damian, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's due to obviously the headache that Clermont's had trying to sort out the mess of the squad that Beale submitted, isn't it? You can only make 3 changes, and due to injuries and sort of lack of availability in certain areas, he's had to go elsewhere. I think it was it Redvan, Diamante, and Silva that come into the European squad. And you've got to stay on balance, given that you can only make 3 changes. That's probably all he really can do. Although we'd obviously love to see Cortez in there and see what he can do on the European stage. If you're limited to only 3 changes, in spite of injuries and unavailability, then you've just got to do the best you can do.
Absolutely, Lorah. Is he going to be a big miss for you in Europe?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely, for what we've seen him, absolute fire, cracking player. And again, Phil really didn't have much choice. I think the 3 choices that he made were absolutely fine. I don't disagree with any choices. It is just a shame that he didn't have much. Cortez will be missed. He will be.
Absolutely. 100%, Lorah. So, guys, we're going to move into predictions now. So, live chat, I've already had a few predictions. Very much big confidence there for Wednesday night against Ross County. Personal prediction, I'm going to go 4-0 Rangers. I'm going super confident. 4-0 Rangers. So, guys, have a think. What's Lorah? What's your prediction for Wednesday night?
I'm going 3-0. I'm going to go 3-0. I usually when I say my prediction, I've got my 3 goal scorers there as well. I can't quite call it yet. I need time to think about who I think my goal scorers are. But 3-0.
Lorah, I think you're quite right to think about your goal scorers after Saturday. I think, like I messaged you on Saturday when you told me that Bournemouth had scored the opener. Who would have had that on their coupon, eh?
Not me, anyway.
Yeah, I've got to say thanks to Lorah, Lorah did keep me up to speed with what was going on in the game during the time I was out at the NEC watching my daughter dancing. So, thanks to Lorah for that. Damian, what's your prediction for Wednesday night?
I'm not just copying you, Lorah, I promise. I've got it written down in my notes here. I'd put 3-0 as well. But like you, I've not been so specific as to name the goal scorers. Yeah, I maybe need to have a think about that separately as well. But I reckon 3-0 and top of the league come Wednesday.
Absolutely, 100%. Stephen says 4-0, agree, Owen. Silva, Cortez, Ridvan and Desas. There's one from the thing there. 3-0 Rangers, says Graham Robert, agreeing as well. Simon says, I think we'll hit 5. Look, I would love it if we just turned somebody over. That would be just fantastic if we could actually turn someone over and actually give someone a damn good pumping, as it said, But hey, it's Rangers. It never seems to go as easy as that, does it, Damian?
No, it doesn't. But like you say, and I like has been said, I think in the comments as well, we are due to give somebody a right good scalping. So Wednesday for my blood pressure, if we could do that, that would be lovely. Give me a night off from the stress and shouting and screaming at the telly for a change.
Yeah, it's right, isn't it, Lorah? We I don't know what it is with Rangers, but Lorah, we never seem to do it easy, do we?
No, we don't. And then in this game, we need these 3 points. That's sometimes when Rangers can crumble a wee bit. I don't think they will on Wednesday, though. The issue is these teams parking the bus. See, trying to break through a back 10, it is no easy to get the goals that we need. So obviously, people saying 5-6-0 and everything, that would be great. But how easy is it to score 5 and 6 goals against a team that don't come out and play? So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that they do come out and play. And we aren't playing against a back 10 and we get the 3 that we need.
Absolutely. And John says 3-0 Sutter. As interesting chat, maybe from a set piece there, Cortez and Silva. And Hugster says hopefully we'll be all happy bears on Thursday morning. I 100% agree with that one. Huckster, definitely. Guys, so thank you so much to everyone in the live chat for joining in tonight. Thank you for all your comments, your predictions, your questions as well. Thank you to Lorah for speeding from work through the storm in Wishaw, and thank you also to Damian as well. Damian, have you got any final thoughts, anything you want to plug?
Thanks for having me on again, Owen. It's always a pleasure. And Lorah as well. Great to chat to both of you. Obviously, we were talking about my music earlier on before Lorah got here. I've got a new EP out on Bandcamp if anyone wants to go and listen to that. It's original music, no Rangers songs, unfortunately, but it's at sleepimage.bandcamp.com. And it's a £5 for 7 tracks.
I strongly recommend that everyone goes and checks that out, guys. Damian's songs, absolutely fantastic. Some great original stuff there. Lorah, what are your final thoughts and anything you want to plug?
To everybody watching, please go and check Damian's music out because he is absolutely fantastic, and we love having you on, Damian. You know, it's fantastic. Make a nice impact to the show. But let's keep being happy like we are. We're happy bears at the moment. Bears are having a party. Let's keep it up for Wednesday.
Absolutely, 100%, guys. No matter what happens, let's just hope that we get that win on Wednesday. We do it in, as I think Damian was saying, in a way that doesn't get our blood pressure up. That would be fantastic if that was the case. I do seem to have this, situation where whenever I stream a game, it never seems to just go smoothly. It always seems to be a case where I'm pulling my hair out at certain points. Please, let's not have that. Let's just have a nice, easy, calm night on Wednesday, please, Rangers. Guys, as always, there's 2 things I ask of you on the way out. Number 1 is to smash that like. It does help the video grow and defeat that YouTube algorithm, apparently. And also, always remember, please never forget, we are the people.